Good morning, students. This is Dr. Kasturi from Wales. Today we are going to see the subject software engineering. Let us get into the subject. In software engineering, we are going to see about software design. Block 3, in that we are going to see unit 13. It comprises of user interface design, interface analysis, implementation model, command line, and graphical user interface. Okay, let us get into the topic. Yeah, before that, what is an interface mark? Which acts as an intermediate between the user and the system. Whatever application we use, that will be an interface. Through that interface only, we can interact with an application of a system. For it is an intermediate between the user and the system. Today we are going to see about the software design, that is about the interfaces in this unit. Okay. There are different design techniques such as real-time software design, system design, data flow oriented design, designing for reuse, user interface design, interface analysis, and interface design. Okay. What is interface design? UI. Okay. User interface design, UI. It is a process designers use to build interfaces in software or computerized devices, focusing on looks or style. Okay, user will be interacting to a particular software using that interface. Okay. For designers aim to create interfaces which users find easy to use and pleasurable. An interface should be very easy, should not be complex for the user to use, and the look of the interface should be appealing. User interface design refers to graphical user interfaces and other forms. Example, voice control interfaces nowadays. Voice control interfaces also come into the extent and it was also popular nowadays. Okay. User interface analysis and design. Okay, you know what is user interface? Now we are going to see about what are the analysis and design involved in user interface. The overall process for analyzing and designing a user interface begins with the creation of different model of system function. Okay, different models come into play. What are the models? Yeah, user model, design model, user's mental model, and implementation model. Therefore, we have four models in user interface. Okay, we have four different models in user interface to be analyzed and designed. What are they? First one comes the user model. Okay, it is established by the software engineer. A profile of all end users of the system will be maintained because this model is going to be developed based upon the user perception. Okay. Therefore, a profile of all end users of the system will be maintained, and they will categorize the users into three types. Novices, there is no knowledge of the system and little semantic knowledge of the application or computer usage in general. Second one is intermediate, there is knowledgeable intermittent users, reasonable knowledge, semantic knowledge of the application. Third one are the frequent users, knowledgeable, good semantic and syntactic knowledge. Therefore, users can be categorized in three levels. Okay, novice, intermittent knowledge, and more knowledgeable. Based upon those categories, the user model will be built. Next comes the design model. It is created by the software engineer. This is a design realization of the user model. Okay, after the user model, the design will be created. To build an effective user interface, what should happen? All design should begin with an understanding of the intended users, who's going to use this interface, including their age, their gender, user gender, their abilities, their education level, cultural or ethnic background, motivation, goals, and personality. For example, if we are going to create a resume application, for resume application, therefore the interface of the resume user interface screen should be the level of that interface should be the college students, should be up to them. There should be a difference between an interface designed for a school students and a graduation or post-graduation students. Therefore, effective user interface should depend upon the users who are all using under certain perceptions like their age, gender, Physical abilities, education, cultural background and ethnic background, motivation, goals, etc. Fine. Next comes the user's mental model. What is that? The end user develops a mental image that is often called the user's mental model or system perception. The end user will have an image on his own mind how the interface will be. Oh, that should be read. Okay. For user's mental image of what the interface is. The user's mental model shapes how the user perceives the interface and whether the UI meets the user needs. He will be giving this much of this is my model. The user will be giving his needs in the interface, in the design of interface. Therefore, it should match the user interface. User interface should meet the user needs. Okay, therefore the mental model should match with the user interface screen. Okay. And then next model, fourth model is implementation model. This will be created by the implementer who implements the system. Okay. The interface, look and feel of the interface, coupled with all supporting information that describes interface syntax and semantics. If we talk about the interface, it's more about the look and feel of the interface, how it look appealing, how it detailed, how it is very explanatory, like self-explanatory. All this user interface will be self-explanatory. No need to guide some other tools to guide the interface. Okay. User interfaces are the access point where the user interact with the designs. Definitely, user interfaces are the access point where the user interact with the designs. They come in three formats: graphical user interface. What is the graphical user interface? Is the digital control panel contains visual representation on digital control panel, like computers, desktop, laptop, whatever we use in mobile desktop or the laptop desktop and computer desktop, whatever we have is called a GUI, graphical user interface. Okay. The four three types: graphical user interface, voice control interface, and gesture based interface. Graphical user interface, the word is all the applications, the minimum they will be having the graphical user interface. All applications will be having graphical user interface. And next comes the voice control interface. Yes, we can control the interface using our voice. The user interacts with these through their voices, most smart assistants. For example, in iPhone, we have a Siri and Alexa on Amazon devices are a good example for voice control interfaces. Okay. Then what is gesture based interfaces? Yeah, according to our iris, according to our facial recognition. Okay, these users engage with 3D design spaces through bodily motions. Example in virtual reality games, through our gestures, it senses our gestures and acts accordingly. Therefore, it's a good example for that. Okay. Relevant types of user interface which are using relevantly are the four types: command line interface, menu driven interface, graphical user interface, touch screen graphical user interface. Yeah, we all know CLI, command line interface is called as CLI, graphical user interface is called as GUI, and touchscreen graphical interface is touchscreen GUI. We are going to see one by one. Yes, command line interface is the older one. It's no longer common as a form of basic user interface in everyday consumer products, but it is still in use under certain circumstances. Certain applications are still now using the command line interfaces. It requires users to type appropriate instructions into the command line. Therefore, the user have to remember the commands. To type the commands on the command line, it will act accordingly. The computer is commanded to first go to the required file or directory. From there, a whole host of commands become available, from retrieving files to running programs. Yeah, therefore, based upon the commands, all the files will be retrieved and it will be running. Okay. What are the advantages? It is simple in structure. The memory usage is very minimal if you use command line interface. Other than graphical user interface, the memory usage for a particular application or a software will be low compared to which application using GUI. Comparatively, CLI occupies only minimal memory space usage. Then Great for slow running computers are those low on memory. Okay, yeah. For slow running processors, computers are those low on memory. Having computers having slow processors and low memory can use CLI, command line interface. An expert CLI user can give commands and perform tasks much faster than using an alternative user interface. A user is going to be expert, he is being practicing for a number of years, then he will be doing best at CLI also, other than the other user interface. Okay. Then what are the disadvantages? What are the disadvantages? Yes, we should remember all the commands. Difficult to learn command language and remembering it. Okay. Complex for novice users. Yes, you are only a startup user, but only learning about the CLI, then you feel difficult to learn the commands. You feel complex. Okay. Minimal error message information. Yes, we not be having more number of error feedback because of CLI. If it is going to be GUI, we'll be having enough error message information. Okay. And next comes the menu driven. Okay, menu driven user interface provides you with a range of commands or options, form of list or menu displayed on the full screen, pop up, pull down, drop down. A good example for menu driven is ATM machine. It's an example of a menu driven interface. Yeah, we are having menus that will be selecting withdrawal or saving or bank statement, everything, whatever we can select. It's a menu driven. Okay, you can have full screen, pop up, pull down, drop down. We have menus will be there so that glasses. When we click this, what happens? Okay, everything is menu driven. What are the advantages over here? It is not necessary to remember a long list of manual commands because everything will be placed on the screen. It is enough to select, pick one, anyone, which we want. No need to remember the commands. It feels as comfortable. Okay, therefore, it is not necessary to remember a long list of manual commands. The simple interfaces for novices. Novices starters will feel very comfortable in this menu-driven interface and self-explanatory menu options. Yeah. Menu option itself is self-explanatory. No need any other guidance or help from others. Okay. What are the disadvantages? Slower for experienced users. If we are using n number of interfaces, it will be considering as slower. Limited, but menu options means we can give only limited number of options which accommodates the screen. The four limited menu options often requires you to access multiple menu screens to perform simple function. Yeah. Inside a menu of menu one, there will be number of options. If you select that option, it will go to another screen. If you select that option, it will go to another screen, like which it goes on. For often it uses what multiple menu screens to perform a simple function. That may be the disadvantage of this. Slower for experienced user, slower and limited menu options because based upon the screen size. And then for a simple operation, you should navigate to many menu screens. That's all the disadvantages of the menu-driven interface. But it is very simple for simple interface for novices, self-explanatory, and no need to remember the lengthy commands. Okay. And next comes the command line interface. First, we have seen this advantages, disadvantages, and then menu driven. And the next we are going to see about graphical user interface called as GUI. The type of interface with the majority of people are the most familiar about this. Yes. We interact with these interfaces by using mouse, trackpad, or other peripheral to point and click on graphics or icons. We all know this. Okay, what are the advantages? It's the interface is self-explanatory. It is easy to use. Memorizing command is not necessary, definitely. Allows for running multiple applications, programs, and tasks simultaneously. Yeah, by using GUI, I can run multiple applications at the same time, run multiple tasks at the same time. using GUI, definitely. And then solid support facilities is there, help facilities. The similar format among different programs adds familiar. Yes, the home screen of MS Microsoft product will be same. File, home, insert, design, transition, everything will be same for all the products. Therefore, the user will be familiar about what are the options available in file menu and what are the options available in home menu, like that, insert menu, likewise. Because we are familiar with these things, because most of the format of GUI will be similar. Most of the application will be having a similar format of GUI, so that the user can will be more familiar. Okay. And what is WYSI, WYG? What you see is what you get. The expansion is what you see is what you get, makes for easy design and formatting. And what are the disadvantages, ma'am? Uses large amount of memory here. Yes, definitely. If there is an advantage, there will be a disadvantage. Yes, what is the advantage? You can run multiple applications, programs, and tasks simultaneously. I can open MS Office. I can type a content. I can at the same time I can give a print, make the document to be printed, and at the same time I can listen music also. Therefore, can do multiple applications, programs, but it what it does, what are the disadvantages? It uses large amounts of memory. Although this is less of a concern as the computers get more powerful, it consumes large amount of memory. This is one of the disadvantage of GUI. Okay, next comes the touch screen. Yes, command line interface, menu driven interface, graphical user interface, and touch screen is also one of the type of GUI. Yes, touchscreen GUI now is very much familiar with our mobile phones, even though some laptops use touchscreen, but very much popular in the mobile phones. Touchscreen is popular. GUI is very similar to the regular GUI, except that we use fingers or a stylus to select icons and perform tasks rather than a mouse or trackpad. Okay, therefore it's what it is very easy. We can use our just a finger, it is enough. Okay, to select icons and perform tasks rather than a mouse or a trackpad. Yes, touchscreen guys are commonly found on what tablets, smartphones, and most probably of medical devices also. Touch screen are used. The touchscreen GUI has the same benefits and disadvantages as standard GUIs, but also offers more intimate method of interaction. Yeah. By touching, for example, it may be a medical image, you can keep a finger and you can zoom the particular place to locate some of the important feature can be seen by zooming using the finger. Therefore, it will be very much useful at the time of medical devices. The touchscreen GUI is used very much. It's powerful use, effective use in medical devices. Okay. The lack of peripherals makes touchscreen guys very convenient. Yeah, no need of attaching peripherals. Just I'm having my finger to touch it. Just a device gadget with my finger. Four types of user interface. The graphical user interface is by far the most common, followed by touchscreen variation, definitely. Despite the alternative technologies that already exist and continue to emerge, the guide remains the preferred standard. This largely due to simplicity and ease of use. Graphical user interface are user for most and end users are self-explanatory. That too, the touchscreen is very easy to use. Well, they do take up considerable memory space compared to other UIs. It's a secondary concern as devices continue to have larger, more efficient storage than that processors. Therefore, touchscreen graphical user interface is more convenient than any other command line, menu driven, just a GUI. Therefore, touchscreen GUI is more convenient. Right. Also, the voice control interface. Some devices, some modern devices which has IoT features can be used with voice control interface also. Okay. We can expect more number of software applications incorporated with voice control interfaces in near future. Definitely, it's going to happen. Okay. Okay. Then, as a whole, the summary We have seen different design techniques such as real-time software design, system design, data flow oriented design, designing for reuse, user interface, design interface analysis, and interface design. And what are the possible questions that might be asked is what is system design, data flow oriented design, user interface design, various user interfaces, and merits and demerits of the user interfaces. Okay, students. Thank you and have a nice day, students.